This is a video I wish existed for every single person moving to Tampa, because if I wasn't a Tampa native, if I didn't grow up here, know the back roads, know which neighborhoods look great online but fall flat in real life, I'd be lost too. And I've seen it happen to a lot of good people. They move here full of excitement. They end up with the wrong vibe, the wrong commute, the wrong fit, and it's really not their fault. Tampa looks amazing from the outside, and it is, but there's stuff you just don't see until you're living it. That's what this video is all about. If I was moving to Tampa, Florida today, fresh start, no connections, I'd do it very differently because I've lived in the wrong area. There's been times when I didn't prioritize my lifestyle, and so I want to break it all down for you so you don't make the same mistakes. And not just where I'd live, but how I'd approach the move, what I'd look for, what I'd avoid, and how to build a life here that actually feels like home. Stay tuned. If I was moving to Tampa for the very first time, no connections, no insider info, I'll be honest with you, there's one area I probably would have jumped on right away. And today, it's one of the last places I'd start. Let me explain that. So when you're looking online, areas like South Tampa look like the dream, right? You've got the beautiful older homes, walkability, Bayshore Boulevard, restaurants, trendy coffee shops. It checks all the boxes on paper. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing part of the city, but it's also not for everyone. And if I were moving here without really knowing the vibe, I'd probably get caught up in the wrong reasons. I had a client once, great couple from Chicago, found a stunning 1920s home in Palmacia, gorgeous listing photos, updated inside, backyard space, close to downtown. They were sold, but what they didn't realize, and what you can't actually feel from a Google search, is how different that daily experience really is. Narrower streets, limited parking, constant construction, and the schools and surrounding traffic in certain pockets. They just didn't match the slower pace they were hoping for. And folks watching, understand this area is amazing, but the key words were slower pace they were hoping for. And here's the thing, I've lived in areas that looked great from the outside too, only to realize later that it didn't fit my lifestyle. Too far from my day-to-day routine, didn't match the season of life I was in. It taught me something real. The best neighborhood isn't the most popular one. It's the one that fits you. Now, if you're someone who thrives on that urban energy, loves a good historic home, wants to be in the mix, South Tampa might be exactly your place. But if you're moving here with a young family and want a massive yard on a budget, you want a master plan community feel with parks and playgrounds, or you just want something a little easier to navigate, you need to think differently. There's so much more to this city than what shows up on the top 5 listicles. And that's the trap, chasing the house instead of choosing the lifestyle. Because when you're new to Tampa, it's easy to chase the shine. But when you live here, you start to care more about how you feel on a Tuesday afternoon, not just how the street looks on Instagram. And hey, if you're watching this thinking, man, I don't want to end up in the wrong area, well, you're not alone. That's exactly why I make these videos. My team and I work with people moving to Tampa every single week, and we help you figure out not just what's for sale, but what actually fits your life. So if you're feeling a little unsure about where to start, all of our info is below. Reach out anytime. We'd love to be your boots on the ground and your go-to real estate team of choice. Now, speaking of lifestyle, let me go ahead and show you the one thing I'd prioritize over square footage, price, or builder finishes, because this shift alone can completely change how happy you are here. If you're anything like most folks moving to Tampa, you probably start your search by asking, how much house can I get for my money? And hey, I get it. That price per square foot game feels like a win. Tampa's got space, Florida's got no state income tax, and compared to where you're probably moving from, it feels like you're getting a deal. But let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. More space doesn't always mean more happiness. If I was moving to Tampa today, knowing what I know now, I'd focus way less on how big of a house I can get and way more on how the lifestyle around that house actually feels, because I've lived it. I've been in the big home with the long driveway and the great deal, but the trade-off was a 45-minute commute, no local coffee spots, limited parks nearby, no vibe. I was isolated, and that space I thought I wanted, it just ended up being more to clean and more to pay for. And I've watched clients do the same thing. They chase the newer, bigger home out in the outer suburbs because it looks amazing on Zillow, but after a few months, the sparkle wears off and they're saying things like, man, I didn't realize how far this was from everything I actually enjoy, or we're always driving just to do something fun. We thought we wanted quiet, but now it just feels lonely. Then it clicks. It's not about how big your house is, it's about how well your house supports your life. And the thing about Tampa is every area offers a different rhythm. Some neighborhoods are made for walkability and connection. Some are about space and privacy, and some give you a little bit of both. But if you don't start with how you actually want to live day to day, you might end up in a home that checks all the boxes on paper and still feels off. I always tell people, think about your Tuesdays, not your Saturdays, where you want to grab coffee. What's your school pickup like? Can you hit a trailer park before dinner? Do you feel energized in your neighborhood, or do you feel stuck? Because you can always change paint color. You can renovate a kitchen, but you can't renovate a community. And you can't add hours back to your week once you realize you're commuting from way too far out. If I was starting fresh in Tampa today, I'd choose a slightly smaller home in a neighborhood that matches my lifestyle every single time. Because a house, it should serve your life, not the other way around. Now, let's say you land in the perfect area. You love the house, great neighbors, but you don't know anyone. What happens next? I have people ask me all the time if it's easy to meet others. Well, let me show you exactly how I'd rebuild my social circle from scratch, because connection is everything when you're starting a new chapter. I feel like this next one is something that nobody warns you about when you're relocating. You can move into the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood and still feel like something's missing. Because here's the truth. When you move to a new city, your social circle, it doesn't come with you. And if I were moving to Tampa today, starting over, no built-in connections, I'd be super intentional about how I plug into the community. And yeah, I've lived here my entire life, but that doesn't mean I haven't had to rebuild circles. I went from playing sports to starting a career, went from being single to married with kids, and changed weekly bar hopping and a wild nightlife fun for a circle of friends that focus on health and fitness. I know what it's like to feel disconnected, even in your own city. So here's what I do differently today if I was starting fresh. First thing, I'd say yes to everything for the first 60 days. I'm talking community events, local markets, church groups, rec sports leagues, CrossFit gyms, volunteer meetups, whatever is happening locally that you enjoy. Don't overthink it, just show up, because showing up consistently is how you go from the new person to part of the crew. Second, I'd use Tampa's local spots as connection points. We're not sit in traffic, stay home kind of city. People here are out and about. Spots like Armature Works, High Park Village, Sparkman Wharf, the weekend markets, those are where conversations are happening. People bring their dogs, hanging with their families and friends, and they're open to chatting. You've just gotta be the one who leans in. Third, and this one's real, I'd stop waiting for the perfect group and start building connections around your shared interests. If you're into fitness, join a boot camp or a running group. Love food? Do a local brewery tour or cooking class. If you have kids, get involved with school events or parent meetups, because Tampa isn't just growing in population, it's growing in community. And the people here that feel the most at home, well, they're not the ones with the biggest social calendars, they're the ones who made an effort early. And I say all this because I've seen it happen both ways. I've had clients move here, get everything right on paper, but isolate themselves waiting for people to find them. And 6 months in, they're calling me saying, hey, love the house, but we don't feel connected. Truth be told, I see comments on my videos all the time saying, Tampa's boring. And I'm like, seriously? Did you just get out of jail or something? Did you not go outside? So if I was relocating today, I'd flip that script. I'd get out of the house, I'd start conversations, I'd give it 90 days of being uncomfortable, knowing that real connections take a little bit of time, but it does happen. And when it does, that's when Tampa stops being a new city and starts feeling like home. So now you've got the right neighborhood and the right people around you, but what about everything else no one talks about? Let's get into the stuff that really surprised many people and at times can be very misunderstood, like the weather, the traffic, and the day-to-day vibe of actually living in Tampa, because there's a lot more going on here than just palm trees and sunshines. Stick with me, this next part might change how you see the city. I learned so much over the years living in Tampa that nobody really tells you when you're planning a move to Tampa, because even as someone that grew up here, yes, born and raised, there were still things I didn't fully get until I started really living, working, and moving around the city as an adult. And if I was relocating here today, this is exactly what I'd want someone to break down for me. Starting with things like weather. You already know it's hot, but let me tell you, it's a different kind of heat. That summer humidity, it's like walking outside into a wet towel that punches you in the chest. I'm talking 90+ degrees with 90% humidity. Your sunglasses fog up, your shirt sticks to your back, and you start planning your errands around whether or not you want to sweat through your clothes. And then there's the rain. We don't get light sprinkles, we get torrential downpours out of nowhere, almost like clockwork in the summer between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. One minute it's sunny, and the next minute you're pulling off the road because your windshield wipers can't keep up. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients text me, why does the weather app say 85 and sunny, but it's pouring on my moving day? Well, welcome to Tampa. That's just how we roll. And honestly, once you get used to it, it's kind of our charm. You learn the rhythm, you plan around it, you always have a rain jacket or extra pair of flip-flops in the car. It's just part of the local lifestyle here. And honestly, probably part of why it's so laid back in Tampa, because you kind of just have to learn to go with the flow. Now let's talk about traffic. Tampa's not LA or Atlanta bad, but here's what people get wrong. It's inconsistent. You could be cruising down I-275 thinking, wow, this city is easy to navigate, and then boom, construction backup, bridge congestion, or a stalled car at rush hour, and suddenly you're adding 25 minutes to your drive because people just slow down to look. Drives me crazy. And don't even get me started on the bridges. If you're commuting across the Howard Franklin, the Gandy, or the Courtney Campbell at peak times, you better have a good podcast lined up and your patience dialed in. That's why locals learn fast. If you can live and work on the same side of the bay, do it. East to west commutes look short on a map, but in reality, they're gonna wear you out. All right, now here's my favorite one, the vibe. From the outside, Tampa looks like just another Florida city. Beaches, palm trees, nice houses, sunshine, but once you're here, you realize this place starts to have layers. You've got old school neighborhoods with deep roots. You've got young professionals piling into high rises in downtown. Retirees just kicking back near the coast. Creatives in Seminole Heights, suburban families out in Fishhawk, and military energy all in South Hillsborough. Everybody has a pocket, and that's what makes Tampa kind of cool, but also tricky, because you can land in a spot that looks amazing in photos, but doesn't vibe with your lifestyle at all. Remember, we just talked about that before? And if you're expecting Miami energy, you'll be disappointed. If you want Sarasota quiet, you'll be overwhelmed. Tampa is somewhere right in between, laid back, but growing fast. Chill, but proud, diverse, but still figuring itself out in a lot of different ways. And if I didn't already know the feel of each neighborhood, I could definitely see myself choosing wrong on my first attempt. So yeah, weather, traffic, vibe, these things don't hit you during a weekend visit or a Zillow search. They hit you when you've got groceries melting in the back seat while you're stuck in a thunderstorm on the Howard Franklin. And that's why I always tell people, understand the rhythm of the city, not just the real estate stats. Now, let's go ahead and flip that script one more time. I've told you what caught me off guard, but what about the spot that completely surprised me in a good way? There's one area of Tampa I didn't fully appreciate until I spent time there, and now I recommend it way more than I ever thought I would. Let me show you where it is and why it might just be your perfect fit. All right, we're flipping it around. We've talked about the areas I probably would have picked too quickly if I was moving here without knowing better. But now I want to share with you the area that totally snuck up on me in the best way possible. It's not flashy, it's not trendy, but it's the kind of place that just works for real life and specifically for this stage in my life. So I want to share it with you as an example of what's out there. This area, it's Carrollwood. Now, let me be honest. Growing up in Tampa, I didn't pay Carrollwood much attention. It wasn't where the new developments were going in. It wasn't making headlines or popping up on YouTube thumbnails with drone footage and luxury walkthroughs. Not that social media even existed back then, but then I started helping clients who didn't want hype. They wanted balance. And once I really started spending time in Carrollwood, I saw it differently. We're talking larger lots, mature oak trees, super established neighborhoods with actual character, like not every house looks the same. You get that nostalgic Florida feel without sacrificing convenience. I mean, you're only 15 to 20 minutes to downtown, close to the airport, surrounded by parks, top-rated charter and private schools nearby, and solid restaurants that locals actually go to. No tourist traps, just community. And here's what's really hit me. It's quietly connected. You've got lakes, walking trails, neighborhood block parties, local sports leagues, and it feels like a place where people wave at each other when they drive by. One client of mine moved there after looking all over Wesley Chapel and South Tampa. He said, it's not really what I thought I wanted, but now I can't imagine being anywhere else. And I felt that too. If I were moving to Tampa with no local context, I might have skipped right over it. Too established, not enough buzz, but now it's one of the first areas I recommend to families, and honestly, anyone who wants space, peace, and proximity all in one. Now look, I'm not saying that Carrollwood is for everyone, but if you're open to something just outside the hype circle with real livability and long-term value, this is one of those places that just grows on you fast. And the best part, it's not the only one. Tampa's full of the under-the-radar neighborhoods that don't make the highlight reels, but deliver big once you're actually living there. Now, speaking of living like a local, there's a bunch of stuff we do here in Tampa that people moving in just don't really think about. Things that make your day easier, your commute smoother, your weekends more fun. So next I want to break down some of those local moves so when you move to Tampa, you can settle in like you've already been here for years. It's rare that you get this advice in relocation videos, but it's the stuff that makes all the difference once you're actually living here. What locals do that transplants never think about. Because living in Tampa isn't just about picking the right zip code. It's about learning how to move like a local. And if I were relocating here today, I'd want someone to pull me aside and say, yo, before you jump into this, here's how we really do things here. Let's start with traffic strategy, because trust me, it matters. Here's the number one rule. You do not, under any circumstances, try to cross that Howard Franklin Bridge at 5 p.m. on a weekday. You'll go in with hope and come out questioning all your life decisions. Same with the Gandhi or the Courtney Campbell during rush hour. You'll be sitting there thinking, why is this bridge 20 minutes longer today? And while you're at it, go ahead and add this to your list. Anyone wanting you to pick them up from the airport at 5 p.m., they better go ahead and grab an Uber. That's why locals plan their work and errands around traffic windows. Morning sweet spot, go ahead and leave around 7:15 a.m. Afternoon errands, hit them up before 3 or after 6. And if you're commuting across the bay, try to live and work on the same side. Trust me, it'll save your sanity. Now, let's talk weekend beach trips. First-time transplants, they roll up to Clearwater Beach at noon on a Saturday in July with their beach chairs and their optimism. Locals, we either go early, like be there by 9 a.m. early, and there's a good chance we pick a lesser known spot like Paso Grill, Sand Key, or even Fort DeSoto. We time it with traffic. Bring your own food and leave before the tourists clog up the exit. Oh, and speaking of food, skip the chain restaurants. I mean, no offense to your favorite national burger spot, but Tampa's food scene is insanely good if you know where to look. Locals eat in places like Seminole Heights, West Tampa, and downtown St. Pete. Taco joints with no sign, coffee shops in converted bungalows, breweries that also host yoga on Saturdays, hole-in-the-wall Latin cafes. That's where the real connections happen. It's not just about eating, it's about meeting people, learning the culture, and getting rooted. And here's something else. Locals don't always chase the big thing. Sometimes it's bike ride on the upper Tampa Bay Trail, watching the planes practice touch and goes from Davis Island Park, or just grabbing a cafecito and just slowing things down. Tampa has the mix of energy and chill. And when you live here long enough, you learn how to ride with that rhythm. So if I was moving here fresh, I'd lean into the small stuff, learn the roads, talk to the barista, skip the obvious and find the gems. That's how you stop feeling like a visitor and start feeling like a local. Now, let's go ahead and bring it home, because after everything I've experienced from growing up here to helping people relocate from all over the country, there's one piece of advice I keep coming back to. Something I'd tell a friend, every client, every family member thinking about moving to Tampa. Let me go ahead and share that with you, because it might just be the one thing that makes your entire move actually work. After helping hundreds of families relocate to Tampa, families, retirees, couples, solo professionals, the ones who are the happiest months later aren't the ones who found the biggest house or got the best deal. They're the ones who made their move with clarity. They knew what they actually wanted. They didn't just choose a zip code, they chased a life. And the difference, they had a local who could walk them through it. Now, I'm not saying that to just hype myself up. I'm saying it because it's easy, so easy to get caught up in the research spiral, watching 15 different videos, clicking through listing after listing, trying to DIY the whole move from 1,000 miles away. But what works for someone on a blog or another channel might not work for you. That's why my biggest advice is this: don't try to figure it out all alone. If I was moving to Tampa today, I'd want someone who's lived there, breathed it, knows the vibe, and can help me see around corners. Someone who could say, hey, I know you love that house, but wait till you hit that morning traffic. Or this neighborhood feels quiet now, but let me go ahead and come back and you can hear the rush hour traffic nearby. That's the kind of insight you can't Google. So if you're planning a move, already in the process, or even just kicking around the idea, reach out, shoot me a message, schedule a call, drop a comment, whatever feels right. My team and I are here in Tampa, boots on the ground, and we'd love to help you not just find a home, but land in the right place. Because this place, Tampa, it's special. And when you do it right, it feels like you've been here all along. Now, hey, if this video helped you see things differently, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and reach out to my team because we want to help. And if you're still not sure where to start next, I've got a playlist full of neighborhoods that can help you choose the right area based on your lifestyle. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Woo!